When you're deploying with Kamal and using accessories such as Postgres, sometimes you'll want to run a few Postgres servers on maybe different servers or on the same server. Maybe you have a primary and a secondary Postgres server, for example. One of the downsides of trying to do that with Kamal is that when you're booting these containers, they're all relying on environment variables for this stuff. So say you have a primary and secondary Postgres server that you want to run. You need to set Postgres password. And you could have these be the same for both database servers, but in the event that you want to put different passwords in there, or maybe these are on different servers and you want to have different passwords for those. Right now, there's not really a way to remap this secret within Kamal natively, but I realize there's a pretty simple way to be able to do this with the accessories files mapping. So if you look in here within the docs, you'll see that we can map these files, and these files can actually contain ERB content so that we can load them from either Kamal Secrets or Password Vault or wherever you want. So in theory, we could store our different Postgres passwords within the secrets file, and then load these in here via this mapping. So that's what I kind of want to run through. So I have this server over here on DigitalOcean. It's already been provisioned, and you can see we're using Heroku build packs. This is a pending PR. If you're interested, go test it out, try it. There's a pull request on GitHub for it. So I'm just going to pull this pre-made starting point over here. And so we're going to boot Postgres 17.2. And the goal is we want a primary and a secondary Postgres server. So you can see it's going to run on the web role. Setting Postgres user here to primary is going to create that user as well as a database named primary. And then next is going to be this feature that specifically the Postgres container supports, and it's this Postgres password file. And so if you look at the Docker Hub docs for this, you can see within this Docker secrets section, if you write the environment variable to a file, there's a handful of environment variables you can set. And so we're going to actually write the Postgres password to a file, and then we can map this in the clear in Kamal, just pointing to that file. So let's go ahead and put that over here. So now we have Postgres password file in here. And then next we just need this PG password primary. And so you can see we have our .erb file that's going to be, this file is going to exist within our local files, and then it's going to mount within the container at this PG password primary location. And then here you can see we're mapping Postgres password file in the clear to that same thing. So we're basically doing this right here, this process within Kamal. So we have this in place. Let's go ahead and put our content in here. Actually just wrote this just before this. So basically for this one, we're going to actually use ERB to show an example of how you could pull this from your secrets vault and not have to store this as plain text in here. So we already have Kamal secrets set up. And so basically what we're doing is just grepping for this PG password primary line, which is going to give us sort of an ini file format. So we have PG password primary equals primary. And then you can see in Ruby, we're just splitting it by the equals and then grabbing the last part of it, which would just be the text primary, and then stripping it so that it removes new lines. So that's a dynamic one pulling from your vault. If you wanted to not commit these to Git and just have these in plain text, here's what our secondary password is going to be. So PG password secondary is just set to secondary. So within here, now we have our file mapped for our password, and then we have our Postgres password file ready to go. So that's our primary server. Now let's go ahead and set up our secondary server. And so Postgres secondary, go ahead and change this over so it's the secondary, and then you can see we just need to do that in a few more places. Obviously we could set this out, but okay. So now we have it mapped to our secondary password. So we have these two files. These could go anywhere else. These could be sitting in your, .kamal directory instead. This is just kind of a demo for this. So from there, we can now just do boot all, and we'll see Kamal boot up our accessories. So we only have the two. We have Postgres and Postgres secondary. So you can see right here, this is Kamal uploading that PG password primary file, giving it permission so that we can mount it into the container. This env accessories file is actually going to be empty because the only thing that's stored in this file is secrets. We don't actually have any technical, like actual secrets mapped in Kamal. So that'll be empty. And then you can see we're uploading that same file. It's going to be an empty file. But then the important part here is now you can see our m Postgres file password, PG password primary being mapped right here. And you can see that I basically forgot to take this down. So from doing it before, so let's just remove all of them. And now we can just boot these back up. Here we go. So there's our primary. Booting up that container, PG password file is mapped. And from there, you can see that it booted everything up. And if we just wanted to, for example, look and see that our containers are actually running. So here you can see there's Postgres and then Postgres secondary. You can see they're created and then they're up 18 seconds ago. So there's our two different Postgres servers pointing towards different passwords for each of those so that you can run multiple database servers with Postgres sitting on the same server, different servers, doesn't matter, but not have to share this, this secret of PG password amongst both of them because you're going to have different values preferably.